Yay, Lin's here. Welcome to Rewiring the Game. So
Thanks for
happy to
having
have
me.
you. Yes, yes. You were in my, wanted you in my first couple of episodes. You ended up towards the end of season one, but either
Mhm.
way, you're here
Here
because
we
you are
are.
in one very busy season of your life. Is that right?
That is true. One of the busiest, which is a good thing at the end of the day.
It's like busy begets busy.
Yeah, it is. I think my wife and I chose to do all of the biggest, most time-consuming things all in the month of June.
It's perfect.
It's
What a
perfect.
great
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And during Pride Month too. So happy Pride.
So good. One of my favorite lines, like when I'm working in groups and with cohorts, which you've participated in, is momentum begets momentum,
hmm
which in many ways is also busy, right? It's like
Yeah.
requires activity and getting things done and keeping things moving. And well, congrats on all the things that you've accomplished. You're at some big milestones in life.
Yes, thank
But we're
you.
not here. We're not here to talk about that. We care. And I would love for the listeners to get a quick background on like who you are, what you're doing right now in the world, and talk a little bit about how we know each other, just to kind of set the stage.
I think we met through rugby connections through your wife. Your wife
Mhm.
played rugby on the same team that I played on, and actually that's how I met my wife. And I think we were just like in the same circle a lot, like just at different events. Some of your wife's best friends was like my vet on the rookie team, on my rugby team, and so that was just how we got introduced. And then momentum started from there, and it's been a wonderful connection for us to have. I am a sports acupuncturist here in Denver, Colorado. I've been in the sports medicine world for what feels like forever, whether it's been on like the athlete side and the patient side, and then I've transitioned my way to the practitioner side and just like gathered my experience receiving good and bad care and trying to pull the good parts in and trying to maybe change some of the more negative experiences or the harder experiences to see if there's a better blend of how we can approach patient care and both with from the injury side, but also from optimization and performance side. I've graduated college in 2014 and I've basically been collecting modalities and like different treatments that I can offer from people that I've met along the way and also again received and kind of found my perfect blend of what I think is going to be some of the best care that I can give to help with injury prevention, recovery, maintenance, and performance optimization.
And what do people say about the work you do? Like, what does your review game look like these days?
Review game is strong, um, thanks to someone that I know. But the biggest thing is that it is a space where people can come and feel safe. They feel heard. They feel like it's an approachable space where they can tell their story and their stories actually they're listened to, it's actually heard and implemented into the treatment. Their goals are met, and that it's a very personable and like relatively, I'd say, more gentle approach and one that actually works is probably the thing that people are like, wow, I have gone to so many practitioners and not really gotten the results that I'm looking for. And then coming into synergistic movement and seeing Lin, I finally am getting the answers and the results that I was looking for.
Yeah, which I mean, I think most of us know this. There's tons of modalities you can go try,
Mhm,
right? There's no shortage of folks who might be able to help in like one sliver of an area. And what
mhm,
I found to be most impactful in my own relationship with you as a client, which I'm a huge, huge fan, as you know. And I'm also like a being proactive about this type of care is a
mhm,
whole different mindset. Like when I first started seeing you, I had an injury.
mhm. And that's
And you
what
were
most people
like,
do. People are coming
yeah,
in when there's something's on
yeah.
fire.
I mean, it's a great entry point, but then
Mhm,
once you start to have the experience of like, oh, we can fix the injury, plus my mobility's increasing, like the pain that you just get used to,
mhm,
like people are like, oh, my shoulders and my neck, and I'm
mhm.
just used to it. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not,
Should we be?
I know, should we be? And I believe that like one of the distinctions for high performance, insert anything, athletes, business people, leaders in their community, stay-at-home moms or dads or parents, I don't care what you do, taking care of your body is like the number one
Mhm.
thing on my list, because I know if my body's not in a good place, like everything else is going to break down. There's
Mhm.
like a really significant domino effect. Can you talk a little bit about your kind of Eastern Western philosophy
Mhm.
and how that came to fruition?
Yeah, so I really have found a blend of the two. I like to try to bridge the gap between the two medicines. My background is in Western medicine. I've probably had the most experience in Western medicine. And I would say a lot of those have been where the system is broken down for me, where I've gone to appointments where I'm just another person. The practitioner is running 20, 30, 40 minutes late. The person that I was scheduled to see, I never actually saw. And just coming out of those appointments feeling so frustrated that they didn't care to spend the time with me. They didn't ask any questions. I've gone in primarily for like musculoskeletal pain and how is it that I left this appointment that I only saw the person for 5 minutes. They didn't put hands on my body of like where I was hurt or any kind of assessment, and like went through this checklist of questions that didn't at all come to any kind of resolution or solving of my problem. So that's where like my background is in. I just wanted to do athletic training for a really long time. I had a wonderful athletic trainer in high school who, again, that's definitely more of a Western modality, a practitioner. Kind of went through those steps through college. I gave that up to play a sport. And then after college, found myself in kind of like a sports recovery facility, which was basically an athletic training room for the general population. This place was awesome. It had a bunch of passive modalities, but then like a whole host of practitioners. And that was from your traditional Western practitioners, chiropractors, PT, massage, kind of the classic ones that everyone kind of that people know. But they also had acupuncturists and they had very traditional, like very, very Eastern, like kind of from the Shanghai Moon, which is like the original text. And then I had another guy that kind of did a little bit of both. His background was strength and conditioning. He went to acupuncture school and found that there were really good nuggets from both. Like, I think, particularly if you're going to treat pain, you have to have an understanding of Western medicine, of anatomy, physiology. What structures are you working with? Where are they? How do they work? Because that's important. That's just like what we're working with when you're working with pain. But there's such another component to pain in particular that's can't be explained in a Western text. That is the mental emotional side of it. That is more of the traditional acupuncture of like how chi and energy and things in your body are working in that sense. And that's when I felt like, oh, this is pulling it all together of like we can address the physical because that you have to be able to do that. But there's this whole other batch of things where people will come in and be like, I have these really weird symptoms that I'm waking up at 1 to 3 a.m. every morning and can't go back to sleep. And then I am really stressed and my neck and shoulders are really tight and all these kind of classic things that are random symptoms. But if you look at like the pattern diagnosis in Chinese medicine, it fits. There's like multiple patterns that will fit all these different random symptoms. And so to be able to assess both aspects of it, I think is really the game changer of being like, are we doing damage to your body physically and structurally? Is that a consideration? And then what is this consideration from how your body works in a spiritual, mental, emotional, energy way, and try to balance both? And I think that has been a really wonderful way for patients to be fully seen. Because I think that is really what it is. Like you go to a PT office and they're like, my knee hurts. And they're like, well, your knee is fine. There's nothing I can do for you. Whereas you can come in, they can be like, my knee hurts. And be like, okay, structurally your knee is okay, but let's look at the joint above and below. Let's also take a look at some of the other aspects of life that may be contributing to some of this kind of thing. So, and it's not always going to be both. It's not always going to be one or the other. There's space for it to be whatever it's going to be. But I will see you in the way that you are when you come into my office, and we will take a look at what that picture looks like and then go from there.
Yeah, what you pointed to in your example is pretty rare in Western medicine. I mean, I will say for myself, if you go to like my physician now is an out-of-pocket concierge doctor, and yeah, she spends lots of time with me, but she doesn't take insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty common, right? Anything that's tied to the insurance system is,
Mm-hmm.
right, systematically challenged. It's a
Yes.
difficult, right? It's just a difficult world for them to be in, even as practitioners,
Mm-hmm.
because they have, I don't think they call it quotas, but it seems like they have quotas. Like they have to
Mm-hmm.
get through this amount of
Yes.
patients. They have to bill this much, right? Like it's just a misaligned incentives, it seems to me.
Yes.
If the goal of healthcare is to keep people well, the
Mm-hmm.
incentives are yucky at
Yes.
best.
Well, it's also they really handcuff the practitioner because it's very specific how you bill and what you bill for and the amount of time. So I had a colleague of mine that worked with a VA, and she was like, I almost just always had to say they had low back pain to be able to do the things that I wanted to do with them, even if that wasn't going on. But like the way that the insurance system is structured for the billing side of it, you usually don't get as much time as you want, and you can only do the things that you can actually bill for. So all of my sessions are time based, and I have a whole host of modalities that I can do. It's acupuncture, fascial stretch therapy, cupping, muscle activation techniques, corrective exercises, etc. Like I can do all and whatever I want in that time frame. That's not the case if you go to a traditional Western insurance based system because they can only bill a certain number of things in that time frame.
That's a really good point. The deeper you get into healthcare, the more horrifying
Yeah.
the,
Yes.
the system itself is actually. I mean, it's just it's broken, and we
Yes.
keep building on top of a really broken system. So
Yes.
with that, I have one little fun kind of insert a spicy question.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
take a step back, and everyone you've seen and everyone you talk to, and when people find out what you do, right? People are going to ask you questions, and I
Yes.
can imagine some of the like top three, four, five questions. What I'm curious is what you think most people believe. So like when they first start talking to you, they're like, I already know that this is like true or correct.
Mhm.
And once you get into a conversation with them, you're able to kind of flip it and have them understand that like whatever that belief was maybe not completely wrong, but not totally on base.
Mhm.
Like what types of things are coming up in that space?
It's a good question. I think and I think this is probably more unique to people with just a Western medicine background, but everyone comes in and they're like, "I've been stretching the crap out of this and it's not working, but I'm just gonna keep stretching and hopefully that's gonna work." And I will say, like, and everyone is different, but I would say more often than not, stretching is not what you need. But that's all we've been told. We've been told to stretch, we've been told to ice, and we've been told to take ibuprofen, and that's like the trifecta of how you fix pain. But what I do in my office is outside of like bridging the gap between us, Western and Eastern medicine, the biggest differentiator for pain is are we dealing with a hardware dysfunction? Like, is there an actual problem with your tissue? Is anything torn? Are you lacking the length that you need to get into this position that you're asking your body to do? And if so, that's where you need to stretch, massage, trigger point, foam roll, get in there with a Theragun. I would say that's probably 10% of the people that I see. The other side of that is what we call, and the people that I've learned from, a software dysfunction of do I have the actual range to access the things that I'm asking my body to do? And if so, why is this showing up as tight or limited? So that when the person actively tries to move through a range and like say you're trying to lift your leg and you can only go 30 degrees, people are like, oh, I have tight hamstrings. My next follow-up assessment will probably be I will move you so you stay relaxed and I passively move you and suddenly we have 75 degrees of range. And so this person has lived their whole life thinking they have tight hamstrings, so they're stretching, stretching, stretching. But I have just proved to you that your hamstrings aren't physically tight. I just took you through a functional range. And so the thing is that I think is funny is that it'd be like, if stretching was going to work, it would have worked by now. People will be like, I've stretched my hamstrings for 5 years with no relief. You're like, okay, well, let's maybe try something else. And I will explain this hardware software dysfunction of like, we need to actually work on how your brain controls your muscles in that communication pathway, which is actually just an electrical circuit. They use neurons to send electrical impulses to create contraction when you need it. And it's not something you're like consciously aware of, but it's like, what do
Mm.
you do when an electrical circuit breaks down? You reset it. If your computer stopped working, you would unplug it and you'd plug it back in, and suddenly it works again. And that's kind of what I do a lot of in my sessions. So I would say 90% of my sessions are software dysfunctions, and people will see this like change instantly on the spot, and then still leave the appointment being like, okay, so should I just stretch? And I'm like, no, not quite, but that's okay. We're working on it.
That's so good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think like near 100% of my issues have always been software,
hmm And it's
which is
very, and
a
again, it's rare to see it like a true hardware dysfunction, and that does happen, but more often than not, it's a software dysfunction.
yeah. The thing that fascinates me about that, not just in your world, but like if you start to, go out into our lives and our work and our performance and all that, if we're having major software issues in our body, and I don't think we have an answer to this, but I think it's a really fun inquiry. How are those issues in our body impacting our brain,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
And how we experience the world. Like the thing that I also say a lot in my sessions are our bodies are really, really smart, and they're really, really awesome. And they are so good at letting us continue when things break down. Like it's an efficiency mechanism in our body to not have to register everything that goes wrong. Because if we did, we would be exhausted and we would definitely not be able to continue. But it's almost too good at it to a fault where things might start to kind of recorrect, but we stay in these compensatory patterns because our body is trying to keep us safe. And so a lot of these things will happen, like we'll lose range of motion or we'll lose mobility, not because our tissue is tight, but because our body doesn't feel safe going into that position. And we'll most likely feel these. And the straw that breaks the camel's back will usually not be like trying to squat 500 pounds. People will be like, I threw my back out trying to bend down and pick up a pencil, and then suddenly my back went. It's like, that wasn't what actually created that. Like, it's been building up to this point of like, there's somewhere in the system that is failing. So our body is making up for some of that by bringing in other resources from other places. And we can only do that for so long. And like you said, that can be applied to so many different aspects of our lives. If we have a really hard day, like my wife and I just bought a house and we have been trying to move, and then we went out of town, and my wife has like 20 million photo shoots this month. This is a lot of load and capacity that's building up on us. And we can handle this, but eventually it's going to start to break down. Like we're going to get sore, we might get sick, like we might get really fatigued, and your body can compensate until it can't.
Hmm.
Which is why maintenance is so important, because it's like your body won't immediately tell you when things are wrong.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, why did this happen right now? And that's something that's so interesting is people love the narrative of like, okay, so why does my hip hurt? Be like, I'm really stressed at work. I like went on a longer walk. I did a rucksack like walk for like really long. Sure, probably all of it's true. But because the body is so good at compensating, it's really hard to narrow down the one reason why this happened, because there's probably not just one. So the way that my mentor has talked about it of like, I don't really care about the why. I want to see how you're moving. What are your patterns right now? And where is the pattern breaking down? And that's where we're going to address it of like, does this move? Does it move well? If it doesn't, let's get it moving better. And then suddenly everything kind of falls back into place.
Yeah, it's like the whole system has to be addressed. It's not we're so obsessed with like my one little I just want to
hmm
fix my for me
Yes.
my hip. I'm like I just if my hip was fully functioning, everything else would be and you're like, yeah,
hmm
there's so much more. It's not just
Yeah,
your
it's not just your hip. Like
hip.
your hip is actually like
Yeah.
the thing that usually hurts is usually the thing that's been holding you up.
Mm. Well, isn't that a lesson in life?
Isn't that?
Isn't that? Okay, I want to change gears a little bit into like more of the, you're running a business, you have lots of other interests, you're married, you just bought a new house, like all these things are going
Yes.
on. I'm curious for you, like, how do you deal with I like to say, like, a lot of the past episodes, I'll talk about like the squish or the gray
hmm
area of the in between, like you can kind of feel it's building, but you're not there yet. How do you? for yourself, like in your own experience, how do you handle that in a way that you wouldn't normally talk about?
I would definitely say I'm an overcompensator. Like, I would say I'm probably more type A and, like to have a little bit more control, and so when things start to build up and it gets a little bit chaotic, I tend to do too much. I try to do as much as I can to, like, tick off all the things on the checklist to see if I can, like, push the mound down a little bit, and I definitely, like, kinda go into hyper speed, I think. I just, like, try to do it all at the same time, which is good, but it's also a little exhausting. I remember one time you asked me, "How do you keep track of all the things that you need to do? Like, do you like write it down? Do you have an app in your phone?" Da, da, da. I'm like, "No, my brain is my checklist." And so I tend to just dump everything in there and then just try to do as much as I can and I would say I'm actually pretty decent at that, but then it also tends to kick back the other way where I'm like maybe a little bit trying to do too much and then trying to hold others to that standard of let's do 25 things on this checklist in this 1 hour when we don't need to do that. So I definitely try to like take control and like try to do too much.
Hmm. What do you think the impact of that is on you and the people around you?
I definitely think it can like create a lot of like friction between the people around me. Because I go into this mode does not mean everyone else does. What I'm really trying to work through is like not to compare the things that I'm accomplishing in like this amount of time to like what others are doing. So like I very much tend to like hold others to this standard of high performing and efficiency and like churning through this checklist of things to do of a checklist that no one else has but me. It's just up in here. So like no one knows what I'm trying to accomplish and the things that I'm hoping to do by the end of today. And so if they're not matching my caliber, then I get a little bit frustrated with them. And so it can definitely create friction in that. So it's something that I need to check. I need to check myself on for sure. Because
Mm,
it's an unrealistic expectation. People can't read my mind. They don't need to be matching what I'm doing. I also don't need to be matching what I'm doing. I think I need to like have a little bit more realistic, or I could just write things down. I don't know, so people can see what I'm trying to do. But yeah, that's definitely part of it.
I think what you're saying though is extremely relatable for a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? Like this idea that if I just do more, the chaos will have to or at
Yes.
least should,
Yeah.
right? Like be lowered, or
Yes.
I'll feel like I have a little bit more control over it, which in some instances is 1,000% true. Like
Yeah.
I will tell every entrepreneur I ever meet, like you have got to be able to get things done quickly.
Yeah.
You have to stop over analyzing. You have to be able to prioritize, make a list. I do personally like to have your list with a calendar of no, really, when is it due by?
Yeah.
Because our brains are really tricky little creatures, right? They'll like to
Hmm.
suggest that everything is due today. It's a
Hmm.
really
Hmm. Oh
common.
yeah.
If I
That one
have to do
is
it, that
strong.
means today. When I said I want you to be in season one, and you were like, okay, that works. And then the day you were like, okay, but I can do it by, I needed to give you a by when. And then
Yes.
you could fit it into your priorities, which, you're probably still too busy, but here you are being type
Yeah.
A
We
and
made the time.
making it
Yeah.
happen, making it
Yeah.
happen.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, it's like you can always make it happen. It's just about, again, like you said, when.
Yeah,
It's
when?
like when I think because I have only the checklist in my brain, when something pops up into my head, I'm like, oh, I gotta do that right now.
Hmm.
And I'm like, do I need to order a bedside table in this exact moment? No. Would it be nice? Sure. But is that a red line item? No.
I'm personally a huge fan of the getting things done method, which has been
Hmm.
around forever. And
Hmm.
I tell most people who are, especially people like you,
Hmm.
because the busier you get, the bigger your business gets, and the bigger the things you're up to in life start to get, that your current technique will not continue to win the day.
Sure will not. Nope.
But you're like probably at that, you're just about to get to that crossroad,
Yeah. We're getting
which is
close.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you've got tools for your future. But boy, is that a habit change to go
Yeah.
from the way that you've been managing to building a structure and a system,
Yes. Yeah.
which again, it's a software issue. It's a
Software
software
issue.
issue.
Yeah.
That's the
I've
good
got all
news.
the
It's
things I
just
need.
software. Yep.
I've got all the things I need. I just got to do it.
Yep. A great segue into talking about your rewire.
Hmm.
So, really, from my perspective, getting from you, what is your rewire and how does it help you rise? And also, practically, because you are such a doer, you're such a practitioner. I mean, you're like a
Hmm.
practitioner of life. How do you implement your rewire?
Well, I think what's been the biggest thing for me is actually being okay asking for help, but when I'm actually ready to make change. Like a friend of ours would joke that don't be an ask hole where you like ask for all this help and then like, just don't do anything about it. Just like continue complaining about what's you're not happy with, or you're not satisfied with. Just constantly be like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? No, you can manage the expectation of like, hey, look, I just need a vent. I'm feeling a lot of these things. I just need to get this out. I'm not actually looking for any kind of guidance or mentorship or anything from this. Like, I just need to talk. Assessing where am I? I think one day you asked me like, are you happy? And I was like, I am, yeah. And then you're like, will you be happy in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? And I had to really sit with that and think about that and understand what I wanted to do and what my goals were and what I wanted my life to look like. And then once I was like comfortable with that, I was like, okay, I'm actually ready to do something. Now I'm going to ask for help so that when I did ask for help, I could actually do the things that was being suggested to me. Just being ready to do things and being ready for it to be hard, being ready for you to not be good at it right away because it's new and different, and sitting in that squish of I'm not going to be good at the first thing that I do. This may sound like a brag, but like I'm used to being like pretty good at things. And so when you're trying to expand and grow and do something new, do something different, you're obviously going to be bad at it right away. Sit in that, continue asking for help, and continue with the actions. And like you said, momentum. And that's been the biggest game changer for me is ask for help and then actually do it.
Hmm. What advice would you give someone who feels really fearful of asking for help, or they just haven't done it a whole lot? What tips would you share from your own experience?
As someone who is still actively that, you have to be vulnerable. I have had this like sense of pride of doing things on my own, and things happen so much faster, and it seems as though it gets done way better if you just ask for help. If you think about even just like the smallest repair that needs to be done in your house, you could try to do it yourself and just try to sort through it. And it's going to take you probably 10x the amount of time that it should have. If you just asked for help with someone who knows how to do it, you're going to do it in like 5 minutes. I was always scared of like looking stupid. The questions that I want to ask, I'm fearful to ask because I feel like these are things I should already know. Taking that judgment off of yourself, just throw that out the window. And also, it can be true. They could both can be true. Like I might ask a stupid question and I might feel silly and a little bit embarrassed, but at the end of the day, I'm going to come through that with so much more clarity and confidence in what I'm doing. And the way that you move when you have clarity and you have confidence is so much different. And it feels so much better than sitting in that squish of, well, if I can just figure this out, like it's going to be fine. Like I'm going to look stupid. Da, da, da. That is exhausting and that sucks. And so things happen when you take the chance of looking silly, but then ultimately you come out of it knowing so much more than if you just try to do it yourself.
So good. That was very well articulated. I feel like you're sort of interchanging the word vulnerable and silly a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
which is, I like it. I like it. Vulnerable has this like heavy, almost like you have to crack your soul open. And sometimes it's like, I Googled this and I read the description and I don't get it. And that's not super vulnerable, but it
No.
sounds a little silly.
Hmm.
There's like this almost this playfulness or taking it a little bit less seriously that I've seen you
Hmm.
evolve in the last, couple years especially in your business from a lone wolf straight up, right? Like I'm do it all myself.
Hmm.
I don't want or need help.
Hmm.
And I'm not exactly where I want to be yet. So I'm not sure how I'm going to get there without some help. And
Hmm.
like seeing you break through that and then use the word silly interchangeably with vulnerable is very, very cool.
Yeah, and I think
Very
it's
cool.
like it is can be a fun, playful thing of like I have no idea, But I also think on the flip side of that, something that I've noticed in my practice is there's a huge level of respect that is gained when you admit that you don't know. And so a patient will come in with a question and I'll be like, you know what, I actually don't have the answer for that, but let me look into it and I'll get back to you. Or, you know what, that's not my specialty. I don't know enough about that to give you what you need from this. So let me refer you to somebody else that has a lot more knowledge in this. There's the playful, silly side that's like really freeing to be like, yeah, I don't know. But then again, you gain so much respect and confidence from my patients and clients of, oh, they don't know, and that's okay. I respect that so much.
Yeah, same. I can tell you that when I'm working with someone, oftentimes who's never had a successful business, they might have a business, but they have not gotten into like profitability or the level that they would deem success, whatever that means to
Mhm.
them. And they come in to like the conversations with me as a know-it-all, like they already have all the answers. That is a very clear sign that I would not like working with them,
Yeah.
right?
Also,
Because if
why
you
you're seeking
already, in
out help.
fact, exactly, if you already know all the, if you already have it down, then just go do it.
Yeah.
And my experience with folks who are really able to move and grow and like get to that next thing, they're the ones who are able to admit, no, this is as far as I can get with what I've got.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking just like I would in any other domain. If I'm an athlete, I'm going to go get a different coach.
Yep.
If I'm in an academic setting, I'm going to go move through different courses and have different
Mhm.
professors. And but for some reason in like life and business, those they can get lost really
Yeah.
easily, really
And there's a lot
easily.
of ego with it.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And that lone wolf thing, I think
Yeah.
that's really common in entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship means do it yourself. Really great entrepreneurship, in my opinion, means get a lot of people who are better than you at things around you and then go do it because it's
Yeah.
so much better.
I train martial arts. I train Muay Thai. And one of the things that the head of the department will always say is, if you're the best in the room, you're in the wrong room
Mm,
because you're not going
I
to
love
continue
that.
to learn and grow. Why is it so easy for us to be like, oh, well, I'm not meeting my, like the demands I'm hoping to athletically. I'm just going to get a different coach or I'm going to change my program. It's so easy for us to do that. But then the things that we do every day and the things that mean a ton to us and to the success of our life and what our next 30, 40, 50 plus years are going to look like, suddenly we're like, no way, no help. I got to do this myself.
I
Just
got
doesn't make
into this
sense.
mess and I'm going to get myself out. Yeah. I think it's also why most businesses never make it past their first year, right?
Mm,
Statistically, most are not going to get there. If you can get past five, you're looking pretty good, but most don't. And
yeah.
that's, I think you nailed one of the biggest breakdowns that happen is people not being vulnerable and asking for help because
Hmm.
there's no shortage of help.
Yeah.
And we'll put some resources in this episode on like free help. There's tons of that.
Yeah.
And then there's the paid help. And then there's the in between.
Yeah.
I want to ask you just one more really like chunky thing, and then we'll get into a fun closing question.
Oh,
I want to know what you're working on that you're most excited about, and how the listeners of the podcast can support you.
oh, that's a great question. My next avenue that I'm really hoping to get into is contracting through either sports teams or businesses of how can I provide consistent care for my passion is athletes and sports because I was one and I know the value of that and I know the value of consistent care. If you have like a fight team that has an 8-week camp, let's set up a weekly thing where I come into your space, can provide all these different recovery tools to support your athletes so that they can take out as many variables so they can for their training. So that's like my ultimate dream is to do that. And so really the biggest thing that people can do is spread the word. Come in, experience it. I think it's one of those things where experiencing this really changes how you absorb it. It's such a kinesthetic thing of like, I can tell you all day what's going on, but the minute that you can only lift your leg 30 degrees off the table, I put one needle in, stim it for 5 seconds, and then suddenly you can hit 75, 80 degrees. Nothing can change that experience. Like, I can't say enough that will overshadow how it feels to experience it. So come try it out, tell your friends. And if you've got any connections with sports teams, send them my way. Would love to, again,
Yeah,
just
let's put that out there.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can't. You have to ask, right?
Yeah. Have to
Can't
ask. Yeah.
happen if you don't ask. No one
It's
even
true.
knows you're like, oh, sports teams. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. That's so good. Okay, here's a fun little closer.
All right.
And I hope that every listener takes what you're about to say to heart because I know that
Mm,
this is going to be good.
okay.
So, Lynn, if we could all do one thing every single day for our meat suits,
Not the meat suit.
the meat suits, if we
Oh.
could just do, if we only could do one thing, and let's just say, like, as a species,
Hmm.
what would you prescribe us?
You gotta move. You have to move. And it doesn't have to be a crazy regimen. Actually, I think the New York Times just came out with an article that said moving for 5 minutes every hour will dramatically change your health, both physically and mentally, energetically, like it all. Like just get up and move. If you're at home, go change a load of laundry. If you're at work, go to the water cooler, go to the bathroom. I don't know, but move. It's like the thing that we have the most control over, but it's the thing we're most resistant to.
No, we're just not meant to be sedentary critters.
We're not. We
We're
were never
not.
created that way.
Such a good answer. I am honored to have you on the podcast. I cannot wait to be back in Denver and see you in the flesh again. My meat suit misses your meat suit. And we really do wish you the best. I can't wait to have
Thank
all the
you.
sports teams, and then you're going to be famous, and we'll all want your autograph.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, and it's been a pleasure chatting. See ya.
See ya.